Did you know that humans are exposed to over 11 million pieces of information every second? But we only consciously process about 40 of those. That means, the majority of what's around us is completely unnoticed. Imagine what you could create if you started paying attention to everything you usually miss. Here's a shocking truth. Creativity isn't just about having ideas, it's about observing the right things. Your brain is constantly soaking in information from your environment, but if you're not paying attention, you're missing out on a huge pool of inspiration. In this video, we're going to show you how to tap into the power of observation to unlock your creative potential. By the end, you'll be able to see everyday things in a brand new light, and turn those small details into big ideas. Ready to become more creative? All it takes is a little observation. Let's dive in. Chapter 1. The secret superpower of quiet observers' creativity begins with a quiet mind. Often, we think that creativity comes from constant brainstorming or intense focus. But sometimes, the best ideas come when we stop thinking so hard. When we slow down and simply observe, our brains start connecting dots we didn't even know were there. According to a study by the University of California, the brain processes over 70,000 thoughts a day. But many of these thoughts are repetitive. By observing more and thinking less, we open up space for new ideas. Being a quiet observer allows us to see beyond the obvious. It helps us notice patterns, colors, sounds, and details that others miss. In fact, renowned inventor Nikola Tesla once said, "The present is theirs. The future, for which I really worked, is mine." Tesla didn't invent by overthinking. He observed the world in a way that others didn't. Every quiet moment spent observing has the potential to unlock a creative breakthrough. So, take time every day to simply watch. Notice how the light changes, how people move, how sounds shift around you. Let your mind absorb all the details without rushing to judge them. The next time you're stuck for an idea, try simply watching for 5 minutes without distraction. You might be surprised by what you find. Chapter 2. Unlocking the mystery of everyday oddities. Everyday life is full of little oddities that can spark creativity. Most of the time, we ignore these moments because we're too busy. But when we learn to spot the quirky, strange, and unexpected, we unlock a world of ideas. Consider this. In 2009, artist Banksy created one of his most famous works, a rat holding a sign that read, "There's always hope." This wasn't an elaborate piece in a gallery. It was simply spray painted on a wall in a city alley. It's the odd, the unusual, and the unscripted that often leads to new creative ideas. Take a minute to observe the things that stand out in your day. Maybe it's the way someone wears mismatched socks, or the unusual shape of a cloud. These oddities, while small, can be turned into big ideas. Remember, creativity often thrives in the unknown, in the things we don't understand at first. A great example is how Alexander Graham Bell invented the telephone. He wasn't trying to create something revolutionary, he was simply interested in improving the telegraph. It was the odd moment of observing sound waves that led to his breakthrough. So, don't dismiss the unusual. It could be the key to unlocking your next creative project. Chapter 3. Turning mundane moments into mind-blowing inspiration. We often think that creativity requires a grand idea or a moment of genius. But sometimes, the best inspiration comes from the most mundane moments. When you walk down the street, or sit at a coffee shop, or even just wait in line, you're surrounded by endless possibilities for creative inspiration. The key is learning to see the potential in the ordinary. Steve Jobs once said, "Creativity is just connecting things. And the more things you observe, the more connections you can make." Take the time to notice the small details in everyday life. Watch the way people interact. See how light falls across a room. Listen to the rhythm of footsteps on a quiet street. All of these moments contain hidden ideas. Did you know that some of the world's most famous inventions came from looking at something familiar in a new way? For example, the microwave oven was invented when Percy Spencer, an engineer, noticed that a candy bar in his pocket had melted while working on a radar system. He didn't intend to create a new kitchen appliance, but his observation led to a breakthrough. So, pay attention to your surroundings. You might just stumble upon something amazing. If you're enjoying these tips, make sure to subscribe for more creative hacks and tricks. Hit that notification bell so you never miss an update. Chapter 4. Rewiring your brain. The art of seeing the unseen. To truly unlock creativity, you need to train your brain to see the unseen. This might sound abstract, but it's actually very practical. The brain loves patterns, and once you get used to seeing the same things every day, you start tuning them out. The key is learning to break this autopilot mode. When you step outside of your usual routine, you force your brain to view things from a fresh perspective. A great way to rewire your brain is by practicing mindful observation. In a study conducted by Harvard University, researchers found that mindfulness, paying full attention to the present moment, can enhance creativity. This means stopping and focusing deeply on what's around you, without distractions. Try this next time you walk through a park. Rather than zoning out, pay close attention to the colors, shapes, sounds, and even the smells. This practice not only improves creativity but can also reduce stress and boost your mood. Another strategy is to change your environment. If you always work in the same space, try moving your workspace to a new location. Research shows that switching up your environment can trigger new ideas and perspectives. By exposing yourself to new sights, sounds, and even people, your brain starts to make new connections. These changes help you see the world in a fresh way, sparking creativity. Try exercises that force your brain to think differently. For example, take a photo of the same object from 10 different angles. This may seem odd, but it's a fun way to force yourself to look beyond the obvious and see something in a new light. The more you practice this, the more your brain will get comfortable with seeing beyond the surface. Chapter 5. Why waiting for the muse is a myth. Start observing. So many people wait for a burst of inspiration before they start being creative. This idea of waiting for a muse is a myth that holds us back. Creativity doesn't work like that. It's not about waiting for magic to strike. It's about taking action. When you start observing the world around you, the ideas flow naturally. In his book The War of Art, Stephen Pressfield talks about how the real challenge of creativity is overcoming resistance. He argues that inspiration doesn't come from waiting around, it comes from working through the tough stuff. The more you observe, the more you'll find to work with, whether you're writing, painting, or coming up with business ideas. Observation is the first step, and action is the second. The more you act on your observations, the more creativity you'll unlock. In fact, a study by psychologist Teresa Amabile at Harvard found that creative breakthroughs are more likely when individuals take action, even if it's a small step, rather than waiting for the perfect idea to appear. Creativity often comes from doing the work, not just thinking about it. Next time you feel stuck, don't wait for inspiration. Get up and start observing. Go for a walk, listen to people around you, or look for patterns in nature. You'll find that the more you engage with your surroundings, the more inspiration you'll gather. Just like a muscle, creativity gets stronger the more you exercise it. Chapter 6. Observation as your creativity compass. If you want to stay consistently creative, turn observation into a daily habit. The most successful creative people don't rely on random bursts of genius. They've built a system for observing the world. This system becomes their personal creativity compass, guiding them through even the toughest creative blocks. Start by setting aside a few minutes each day for observation. It doesn't matter where you are, just observe. This might seem simple, but it's incredibly powerful. According to author and creativity expert Austin Kleon, the key to being creative is to steal like an artist, and by observing the world around you, you gather raw material for your own ideas. Whether it's the way someone speaks, how people interact in a cafe, or how light changes during the day, everything you observe can fuel your creative work. Another method is to keep an observation journal. Every time you notice something interesting or inspiring, write it down. Over time, you'll start to build a rich collection of ideas and insights. These notes will serve as a creative treasure chest when you need inspiration. Did you know that famous inventor Thomas Edison carried a small notebook with him everywhere? Whenever something caught his attention, he jotted it down. This habit helped Edison stay creative, even when working on his most challenging projects. Your observation journal can become just as powerful for you. The more you practice, the more your creativity will flow naturally. The key is consistency. Just like any habit, observation gets easier with practice. As you make it a daily routine, your creativity will start to feel more like second nature. You'll begin to see ideas everywhere, in even the most unlikely places. Observation isn't just a tool for creativity, it's a lifestyle. If you're ready to start observing more and sparking your creativity, be sure to subscribe to the channel. We'll have more tips and exercises coming your way to help you stay creative every day. Keep observing, and your next big idea could be just around the corner.